many receiving yards per game and 5 fewer yards per catch compared to the regular season, despite being targeted at a slightly higher rate. Dan, does the trend continue in his first career Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think so, but this is so much more about the defense that pass game and he have to go against. Steph has been very clutch for this football team, and he's become the guy that they work in the middle of the field. But this defense in Seattle and the way that they cover physically at the line of scrimmage and down the field, the versatility, he's going to be matched up a lot against Worry or Witherspoon. Those are two elite defenders. I think Steph's going to get his at times, but this is a big-time coverage group. Let's go to the other side of the ball for New England. This defense has been really good. Red zone defense has not been the Patriots' strong suit, though, this season, allowing a touchdown on 2/3 of their opponent's red zone drives. It's the 4th highest rate by a Super Bowl team since play-by-play was first tracked in 1978. The only 3 with a higher rate lost the Super Bowl, most recently the 2020 Chiefs. J-Mac, does this trend continue against the Seahawks offense where that red zone defense struggles?
I do think it continues, and a lot of that reason has to do with Seattle. Their red zone offense in the playoffs has been incredible. They've had 11 trips, 5.5 per game on average, and they're scoring at almost 73%, and those are touchdowns. I think Sam Darnold's done an excellent job with his eyes moving, guys, and when you have a guy in the backfield and Kenneth Walker that can just run the ball in the red zone, it makes life a lot easier on play caller Klint Kubiak.
Yeah, deeper into the numbers there with 2 key parts of this game that could matter. Let's get Adam Schefter back in here for some coaching news. Adam, the Browns went with Todd Monken as their next head coach, leaving the future of Jim Schwartz in doubt in Cleveland. Where do things stand there?
There are going to have to be conversations that occur between Jim Schwartz and the Browns as to whether or not the relationship is even salvageable right now. It's very much up in the air and in question. Jim Schwartz not happy to be bypassed for the starting job, for the head coaching job in Cleveland. He's got 2 years remaining on his contract. Really up in the air at best whether he even returns to be the defensive coordinator for Todd Monken. Meanwhile, there are 2 teams left with head coaching vacancies. One is the Arizona Cardinals, who spent part of this week meeting with the Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur, the brother of Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. But they are also interested in Klint Kubiak, the Seahawks offensive coordinator, and they are expected to meet at some point this weekend with Klint Kubiak in Seattle. The issue with the Cardinals is not only are they interested in Klint Kubiak, but so are the Raiders, and that is the reason we still have 2 openings today, because both teams now seem to have some level of interest in Klint Kubiak. Both will wind up talking with him this weekend, and we'll see which one can land his services if they're even willing to lure him into their head coaching jobs. One will get Klint Kubiak in all probability. The other will move on to another candidate. But that is why all the jobs have not been filled, because both the Raiders and the Cardinals still would like to speak with Klint Kubiak.
Good time to be Klint Kubiak, and well-deserved, right? And as we await the official word here, let's live in a world where Kubiak has the choices of either Arizona or Vegas. Yeah. J-Mac, where would you lean if you're a first-time head coach looking to make this decision?
I think a lot of people look at this and they say, all right, well, the Raiders have the first overall pick. You're going to get Mendoza, or if you want to trade the pick, you're going to get a wealth of opportunities in the draft to be able to improve this roster. I'm looking at Arizona if I'm Kubiak, and you say, you know what? My strength is the offensive side of the ball. I just have helped Sam Darnold get to the Super Bowl. I feel like I can make a lot to do with this offense. Give me, whether it's Jacoby Brissett or they figure out another way, Kyler Murray, whoever it is, you have some weapons on that offensive side of the ball. Trey McBride, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Marvin Harrison Jr., somebody that is obviously a building piece. On the defensive side of the ball, Josh Sweat was unbelievable, a free agent they signed last year. You feel like you have the makings of the players in your building that you can build around on the defensive side of the ball. But if I'm Kubiak, I'm saying, you know what? The weakness of this team is figuring out what the hell to do at the quarterback position and make this offense feel relevant. I would feel like that's my superpower, and that's something that I can improve and work with.
I like that thought. I do. I lean Raiders. I fix the Raiders in 3 moves if I'm them. Number 1, I hire Klint Kubiak, and if I were Klint Kubiak, I would choose the Raiders. Number 2, I would bring Raheem Morris as my defensive coordinator. Really good defensive mind. Again, also somebody who's got past experience being head coach. Third move, I would trade Max Crosby. And I would say, here we go. We're going to take Mendoza 1. We're going to get a first-round pick from the Rams for Max Crosby. And now we start to rebuild this football team talent-wise in the proper way.
Yeah, you guys heard that. He's trading Max Crosby to the Rams.
I would trade if I were the Rams.
Really good.
And Matthew would come back. I would say, here's one of my picks. And if I'm the Raiders, I love Max Crosby. He's the face of the franchise over the past couple years. They need a lot of talent. And so if I can recoup another first-round pick with all that cap space, that gives in. I understand your point with Arizona with more of the group around them.
Yeah.
The Kyler Murray situation's weird, though. Like,
Kyler's
we
done.
don't know. He's done. So you got to think it's Jacoby Brissett. I mean, you named off Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. Is that enough to say, yeah, we're going to
It's not enough, but when you're looking at starting something, it's a starting point. When you have guys at positions, when you can look at Trey McBride and you can make the argument that I have the best tight end in the NFL, that says something. Now, you may not agree, but we can have that conversation.
I got Brock Bowers.
No doubt about it. You got Brock Bowers, and we got Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside as well. So you feel like you have some pieces that you can build on. I think that's a big thing.
You guys both sold me. I mean, actually, I think this is great for Kubiak. Like, I think he's in a really good spot.
I think
whichever one he wants to go.
No doubt about it.
And I think for Klint, it will be, obviously there's factors, right? What's the situational structure, the organizational structure? Tom Brady in one.
There's a lot.
Austin Fort's done a nice job there in Arizona. I do think it comes down to, do you want to handpick the quarterback in one place, or will you be a little bit, shorthanded, or not shorthanded, but like forced to play or forced to have a certain
There's some mental gymnastics to figure out in Arizona
a lot of
how you get to it.
Yeah, a lot of it would probably depend on what does he think about Fernando Mendoza.
Yes.
Fernando Mendoza.
Work with him, take him back to the very, very beginning, both on the field, off the field. Just talking with Dabes over the course of the last few weeks. He is the perfect man to match up with Cam and to maximize who he is. So again, we're really pumped to get to work with Cam and get him to where we all know he can be.
Adam Schefter back with us now, Saleh in place, as is his offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll, or Dabes, as you just heard Saleh refer to him. What's next for Tennessee, Adam?
Well, that'll be the big marriage there, Laura, making sure that Brian Daboll gets Cam Ward up to speed. And there was such an emphasis on getting Brian Daboll in that building. Obviously, they identified Robert Saleh as the head coach they wanted, but what was important to make that happen and to make it work the way they wanted was to get the offensive coordinator. They have been sweating out whether Brian Daboll would get the head coaching job in Buffalo or whether he would get the head coaching job in Las Vegas. Obviously, Buffalo was filled. Vegas is still open. Vegas seems to be going another direction, and Brian Daboll has signed his contract with the Titans, which is exactly what they wanted to happen. We see right now the New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens scrambling to come up with an offensive coordinator. The Titans had their guy, they got their guy, and now they're ready to put him to work with their former #1 overall pick.
Yeah, and he's great at developing young QB talent for sure. The Titans, by the way, played the toughest schedule in the NFL last season. They went 0-9 versus teams with a winning record, if I could speak correctly. And that's why this is a bit of an uphill climb, but still a lot of talent on this team, right? The Titans do have a lot of wiggle room this offseason. Currently $78 million under the 2026 salary cap. That's third most in the NFL. A lot of room there to spend. They're also picking top 5 in the draft for the second year in a row. And remember, they obviously don't need a quarterback, so they can use that pick on a key position. They had not done this since the mid-1960s when they were still the Oilers. So a really big moment, I think, for this organization. Dan, a lot of positive things in Tennessee right now. Does all that translate to them, you think, taking a big step forward next season?
Certainly the chance. Can they replicate what New England did?
Yep.
Not to, obviously, New England's playing in the Super Bowl, right? And I don't believe they even thought that. But there are some things that you sit there and point to. Second year of a quarterback, head coach that is in his second run, and an offensive play caller that's got a ton of experience, and Brian Daboll, Josh McDaniels. And you sit there and you say, okay, well, how did New England actually get it done? Really good investment into their defensive tackle group. Tennessee's already got that. Secondary, big-time improvement. That's one of the places that if you're Tennessee, they're going to have to invest in. Offensive line, New England hit on 2 draft picks, so that's going to be something that Tennessee's got some pieces. So they got another addition or 2, and then the perimeter players went through the roof. Steph was amazing this year. Booty took the step forward. The addition of Matt Collins, and so if you're looking at how can you do it, it's you got to hit on the secondary, and you got to hit on the receivers. Those would be the 2 areas, and then Cam obviously has to take the Drake May type of leap.
And I think the point that you're saying is you got to hit in free agency, and the Patriots spent the most money in NFL history in free agency this past offseason. For the Titans now, you have to hit on whatever guys you bring in. But I love the addition of Brian Dable, and not only for Cam Ward, but you think about that Giants team this year. You think about Cam Scatterbull. You think about the young guys that are on that roster. Malik Neighbors, his ability to get relationships with those guys. The Tennessee Titans, they have some young guys. Gunnar Helm at the tight end position, who was a rookie last year. Elik Iomaner, who was a rookie last year. Chimere Dike, rookie last year. These are the young guys that you're going to get a ton of energy from Brian Dable and Robert Saleh. You want that now to translate and for those guys to take ownership and take on the mindset of the coaches that's going to be leading them. So I think for Robert Saleh, you're off to a great start in getting the right OC. They retain Bones Jones as their special teams coordinator. So you have the guys that you want in front of the room.
One quick thing, too, on Saleh. He did say today he's going to call the defense as the head coach. That's something he didn't do when he was in New York.
As he should.
Yeah.
You know, if you're good at it, do it.
Right.
I also think this for Dable in relation to Cam Ward. So if you go back to his time in Buffalo with Josh, it was taking this really talented and raw player and getting him to take the necessary steps, a little bit more efficiency, more accurate as a player. In New York with Daniel Jones, he got Daniel Jones to be by far his most efficient and risk-averse. And so can you find a way to get that marriage to Cam? Can you get Cam to develop a little bit and get a little bit more mechanically sound like you did with Josh, while also getting Cam to be a little bit more efficient and risk-averse like Daniel Jones? Like, if he can do that with Cam Ward's way more physically talented than Daniel Jones as a thrower of the football. You got a chance to, again, have a really good second year.
And we know the work ethic that comes with Cam Ward. We know how much he wants to be great. So now you're getting a coach that's a proven offensive mind. He's going to buy into that.
Tennessee,
and that relationship is going to grow. And you think about it, you compare them to New England, the one similarity they have is they're both one of my former teams.
Well, look at that. It's the J-Mac factor.
You found a way to get that in.
I mean, I was going to bring up the cap space and all that and how they use it. I think it's all about